Hello, you're watching Trending with the Tennessee Tribune. I'm Ashley Northington, the founder and agency director at DENOR Brands and Public Relations. We're here on behalf of the Tennessee Tribune with Stephen Murff, the candidate for Criminal Court Clerk. So we're here to talk to the candidates so that we can learn more about the issues that matter to you most. So let's jump right in. So Stephen, please tell the Trending with Tennessee Tribune audience more about who you are and why you've decided to run for office.
Well, actually, first and foremost, let me say thank you on behalf of myself and my campaign,
Yes.
and to the Tribune for having me here for this interview.
You're more than welcome.
Love reaching as many people as I possibly can. My rationale for running for the Criminal Court Clerk's office is over the past 25 years that I've been working in the judiciary, my entire platform or goal has been on restorative justice issues. And for far too long, in my opinion, this office has stood stagnant and not been engaged in the judiciary itself. So with my platform being a modern vision for justice and service, I want to implement those platform measures into what the Criminal Court Clerk's office can do here from Davidson County in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, so you've just told me something that's really, really critical. A lot of people are talking about restorative justice.
Yes, ma'am.
And usually they're talking about restorative justice in the sense where they're referring to youth, young people.
Correct.
So how does restorative justice work for the criminal court, where they're adults and maybe younger people who are tried as adults? How does that work in that arena?
That's a two-part question. I'm going to start with just a very vague answer on the first part. The number one person that is affected, or number one at-risk individual for to enter the criminal justice system are juveniles that are aging out of the system into the adult population.
Got it.
Now, with restorative justice measures such as mental health, co-occurring disorder, substance abuse, with those restorative justice issues at hand, what I want to do and what I say to everyone is that my future is in my history. And I've spent over the last 20 years writing grants and creating diversionary restorative justice courts, such as the Davidson County Mental Health Court, the Misdemeanor Drug Court, the Davidson County Veterans Treatment Court. And what those courts do individualistically is they treat the person holistically and not just the crime itself.
Right. And so when you're dealing with maybe a 45-year-old or a 50-year-old that's committed a crime, do you also look at those issues too as it relates to restorative justice?
Yes. I mean, I think we have to take everything on a case-by-case basis.
Sure.
And what happens, especially with someone that has aged through the system, and say they're in the 34 to 45-year-old age demographic, what happens is that we are now at a point in our time where, with the diversionary courts that we have and that I've created throughout the years here in Davidson County and at the federal level and in Williamson County, what we can do is we have early identification measures in place now, where we can now capture from the date of arrest, we can now automatically begin to early identify the holistic issues, if you will, regarding that defendant, and then we can follow them from incarceration to adjudication. And then that's where I feel that the Criminal Court Clerk's office and the Criminal Court Clerk itself can step in and offer diversionary assistance outside of adjudication here in Davidson County. That means outside of taking a plea in a courtroom, because what happens, in my opinion, is that after we plead guilty or we have what's called a case is adjudicated, that person is sent to probation, and everything seems to get lost in the weeds, and we don't know where to follow up, how to access services, how to engage in probationary conditions. So, for an example, for you, it's like placing you on probation and me saying, okay, as a judge, if I were running for judge, or if I were a sitting judge, saying, okay, actually, I'm going to place you on probation. Now, I need you to go to Main Street here, and I need you to pick me 20 oranges in 10 days. Well, I'm setting you up for failure because there's no orange trees on Main Street. So you're going to come back and you're going to say, I'm unable to access those resources. So what I really want to do with a modern vision of the criminal justice system and a modern vision of the Criminal Court Clerk's office is develop those systems where we are not only an information holder, but we are out in the community saying, if you need batterers intervention programs, if you need domestic violence programs, if you need mental health or substance abuse programs, this is where we're going to come. These are the forms where we're going to show you how to do it. And primarily, if you need driver's license assistance or expungements, this is what we're going to do it. It's imperative that if elected to Criminal Court Clerk here in Davidson County, I will be out in those communities telling individuals what they need to do and disseminating that information, because I'm a 25-year career civil servant. I'm not a 25-year politician.
Sure.
So I've not just talked the talk, I have walked the walk.
You've walked your talk is how I like to say it.
I love that. I love that.
So talk to me about some of the things that you've done to prepare you to be like the best criminal court clerk.
Well, what I've basically, throughout this campaign, what I've gone through the communities, and as I was just talking to the staff earlier, what I've gone through is from communities from Scottsboro to Cane Ridge, from Jolton to Goodlettsville to North Nashville, and I've listened to what the needs are. The primary question, and the number one question I get regarding when they read my name tag, and they say, Stephen Murff, oh, you're running for criminal court clerk. I have no idea what that job is. And, you know, I realize it's not the most popular job on the ballot, and my name doesn't say judge. But if we don't know who our elected officials are, that's a failure on the system's part. Because we are hiring these individuals. I'm asking you to hire me to do a job, and I expect to be held accountable. So what I've primarily done is I've listened to the constituents of Davidson County. I've listened to what issues that they've come across in the judiciary, if engaged, not just themselves, but with their family members, because in every way, shape, or form, at least in about 95% of the people that I've spoken with, they have been touched in some way, or their lives have been engaged with the criminal justice system through their family, through themselves, through their children's parents, so on and so forth. So I've listened. The primary issues are driver's license, expungements, court costs and fines, collections, and what can we do to, if you will, mitigate the non-dissemination of information that's coming out from this office, and what can we do to ensure that these community coalitions are built, that these forums are built, so that we are constantly on a path to educating the constituents of Davidson County about what this office is, because honestly, it is my goal 4 years from now, and I'm going to be proactive here and say, when I'm elected to criminal court clerk, when I say it, I want 4 years from now that everyone that walks up and reads my name badge are going to go, I know exactly what that office does, because it has helped me or someone in my family get to where they need to be.
So let me go back. So I have lots of exciting questions for you.
Okay, love it.
So what would you say the role is? Because you say a lot of people don't know what it is. So for our audience, for those folks who may be unfamiliar with it, can you just briefly explain what the role of the criminal court clerk is?
Yes, basically the elevator speech version, if you will, because I know our time frames. So I'm going to give you a very abbreviated. The role of the criminal court clerk is the official keeper of the criminal court record. Now, in Davidson County, we have 17 criminal court divisions. That is 6 state trial courts and 11 general sessions divisions. State trial courts are your felony courts. General sessions courts are your misdemeanor courts. They can sentence no one longer than 11 months and 29 days or 1 year. Now, as official keeper of that court record, that office also processes motions, orders, and indictments, does all court costs, fines, collections, tax, fees. They also, and the one thing that a lot of people aren't aware of when we talk about the ideology of night court, and night court here in Nashville, because we're one of the few cities that has 365, 24-hour day, 7 days a week night court, that office is responsible for probable cause hearings, issuance of warrants, bonds, and releases. So it's a multifaceted position, and I believe that whomever, and once again I'm going to speak proactive, when I am elected criminal court clerk, I will be on the front lines doing the work. I live with one premise and one premise only. I never ask anyone to do a job that I don't know how to do. My first job back in 1995 was standing in that warrant bond office, handwriting warrants and bonds before we went to the CJIS system, which is our automated system. So let the system go down. I can still come to work and I can still get it done. Yeah,
wonderful. So talk with me about identification. So what I mean by that, well, identification and helping some of those marginalized communities. So it sounds like some of the work that you'll be doing is trying to get out into the community, assess the needs, and make sure that those various populations have the information they need to be successful, to get away from the system or not be in trouble, right? What types of things are you going to be doing or looking towards to make sure that all of Nashville, all of the diverse communities in Nashville are able to get the proper support and additional resources, restorative justice practices that are available?
Well, what we have to first do, I go back to the educate.
Yep.
We have to hold the office accountable, and we have to be accessible. And those are the three primary keys. Now, through education, I have to ensure that my staff, when elected, is in the community, holding forums, building coalitions with partner agencies, mental health service agencies, substance abuse agencies. When we talk about providing assistance, we have to be sure that everything that we do is online.
Yep.
When I was working in D.C. for 5 years, and I directed the D.C. Superior Court's criminal division. And what I was able to do with that system is I was able to take everything online.
Sure.
Reduced our footprint into the courthouse by 48%.
Sure.
So if you were defended, and you were having an issue with transportation, because I know transit is a hot topic issue right now.
Transit is the topic.
It is the topic of the hour. And what that does, and it plays right into why many people can't make it to court. So what we have to look at is, what can we do to make it accessible online? E-filing, filing motions, filing orders, motion to continue, so that they have constant contact. And finally, what I did also was to take, when you were adjudicated or you went through the court system, you received one piece of paperwork with the QR, the quick reader scanner.
Okay.
And then what that did, you downloaded the app. We have the capabilities here in Davidson County with our CJIT, the Criminal Justice Information System. And my modern vision through technology is to take that one QR, you download the app for free, you scan that QR, and that is forever on your phone. It will update you via text if you have a new court date coming up, if you have court costs due, if it is about to hit a pinnacle where your driver's license are suspended or going to be suspended and or revoked because you're unable or have not paid your court costs and fines, it will notify you. So that will minimize the reliance of the individual themselves having to work a job, raise a family, seek the treatment or go through the assistance that they need within the community.
Sure.
So I just really want to streamline and build these coalitions so that everyone is working together, and this office is not just standing alone. And we have the capabilities of doing that. And that's what I want to ensure that we do. I want us to have a modern vision of justice and service. And I think the key to that is having a criminal court clerk's office that is ready, adaptable, and willing to provide these services.
Wonderful. So let me ask you the very, very, very tough question.
Yes, ma'am.
Why should we vote for you?
Why should you vote for me? The $1 million question. Well, I'm going to tell you this because my future is in my history. I implore anyone to research Stephen Murff to find out what he has done in the judiciary over the past 25 years.
Sure.
Not just locally here in Davidson County by creating the mental health court, the misdemeanor drug court, the veterans treatment court, but also in Williamson County and also at the federal level and also at the state and the legislation that I have passed. My entire imprint throughout my entire adult career has solely been focused on the judiciary, from the creation of pretrial services, my time working in the warrant and bond office, my time directing the mental health and drug courts, my time directing the veterans treatment courts, also in the District of Columbia. I am ready, I'm experienced, I'm more than qualified on day one to walk in that office, foresee what needs to be done, and have a plan of action when going in. And that's what I ask people to do. We have to start holding our local elected officials accountable. And if I'm asking you for a job and I'm handing you my resume for criminal court clerk, and nowhere on my resume does it say that I have ever worked in the judiciary or I've ever ran an office or ever created something within the judiciary, I wouldn't even make a second interview round. So I implore Nashville to get it right on the first time.
Yes, indeed. Well, folks, you have heard it straight from Mr. Stephen Murff, why he's an amazing candidate for Criminal Court Clerk. So thank you so much for watching. That's all we have today for Trending with the Tennessee Tribune.
Thank you.